watching Gravity Falls for the first time.
Today we are talking about Boss Mabel, episode 13 of season 1.
Nice. Yes.
And what were your first impressions, Mackenzie?
I like this episode a lot. It really plays with the format. It was more moral, I would say, than it usually is. There's more of a moral to the story, right? There's like, oh, you have to be awful to get stuff done. I don't know if I agree with the moral, but it's more like a don't pick on people. It actually ties into the Bible verse that we see in the show 7:03 or 7:3, which is the Bible verse that talks about why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but don't consider the beam in your own eye.
Wow. And
So
that was from one of the times on the clock?
That is that's the last time, right before she snaps, that's the time you see on the clock.
By the way, folks out there in YouTube land, if you've never watched our show, Watching Gravity Falls for the first time, we started looking up Bible verses because there would be because we're trying to crack codes and stuff like that. And there's a number that keeps coming up, and it's 618. And what's interesting on this, Kenzie? I don't know if you noticed it. The first time we saw 618 on the show was on the cash register.
Yeah.
And the cash register in this episode
doesn't always have numbers.
Well, but it has like the impression of a number. I'll try to find like an image of it to put on the screen. So it has a little sort of a block kind of 6 and a thin 1 and then another block that could be an 8.
Yeah. But it is interesting that they didn't take the time to do that, but they took the time to put numbers in other places in this episode, which makes me think that there is something to our theory of Bible verse.
So the moral of this one is basically that there's a place for jerks in the work industry.
Yes.
And so when do you think that this moral is true, and when do you think it's false in our real life?
I'm gonna be real honest with you. I think it's true in Disney's case.
Okay,
no, no. So my thought process behind this is like, I don't actually agree with this. I think if you're in a work environment that isn't healthy for you, why should you stay there?
Yeah.
And if someone can do it better, then there's not really anything wrong with that. And I think we see her get sold short. I think 3 days is not enough time to be able to pull it off.
Mabel finds her groove, right? She does have to.
She breaks a little bit.
She basically, when Mabel thinks that she's acting like Stan, but she's not.
No.
The Wendy in particular is really taking advantage of her.
Yes.
And so she's putting her foot down. And poor Seuss is, well, he's probably suffering from hypothermia and malnutrition because he's been out in the wilderness.
I think this episode has something that's interesting. I have an interesting relationship to this topic, and I don't know where I stand with it. But it's the topic of women in the workplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take a guy that's like very straightforward, is like hard cut, and you take a female character that's doing pretty much like the same thing, but like honestly nicer. The place is run pretty smooth. For all the damage that's caused, they managed to make back all that money, which is impressive. And they still had a profit after 3 days of business. I'd like to see someone run a business for 3 days and make profit. You know what I mean? Like, that's impressive in and of itself. But it is interesting to see this, like, I don't think it was intentional, but I think that there is something to be said about how the employees think that Mabel isn't a good boss. Right? And then that Stan is a better boss in comparison to Mabel. But I actually wouldn't agree with that judgment. I think that Mabel could be a better boss. And it's kind of this classic, like, she's too bossy, where it's like he can be an asshole and we'll just follow him because that's just kind of how it is. But oh my gosh, have you seen Heather being our boss. We hate her. She's the worst,
Yeah.
right? It's this very like stereotypical like I'm a female boss, so I'm a jerk, and people call me bossy. You know what I mean?
So, other themes that are explored
Yes.
in the show. This episode is basically talking about how when you have a dream and it comes true, it's probably not going to work out very well.
You know, that's interesting because that's what the monster's power was too.
Yeah, to have your
To
nightmare.
have you see your worst dream.
Yeah.
Also, that sucks for those people.
The
Dipper,
tourist,
like, effectively lobotomized two individuals.
yeah, they're just taken away on the ambulance, and we never find out what their nightmare is. But
No.
they're broken.
We also never find out what Mabel's nightmare is.
No, that's true.
I think she's living it.
Yeah. She seemed to recover pretty quickly.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, makes sense.
And I love that the nightmare is he's become his own father. He's become his father.
Yeah. Which is also the story arc of Mabel, right? She's become Stan. That's right. In her eyes.
She becomes Stan. The story arc of Dipper is really interesting because Dipper's got his book and he's like, hey, he basically is saying something that is very true. Why is Stan being a con artist and showing these fake things when there's incredible things out in the forest? And right. So he's finally able to bring an actual supernatural or paranormal creature. What is it? The Grim Goblin?
It's
the Gremlin.
Gremlin. Yeah, it's half goblin, half gremlin.
Yes. So he brings that creature in, and the people are kind of interested in it first, but they're even more interested in like the jackalope.
Wait, what was
it? The six-packalope.
Six-packalope, yeah. I was interested in the six-packalope because that looked like a person. Was that a taxidermized person?
I think Stan probably killed somebody and put a deer head on him.
That's concerning.
So there's one more thing that I noticed that is perhaps worth talking about. I've got Google pulled up now, so we're going to see.
Heck yes.
There was some weird like Latin kind of words on the game show logo, the cash shower show that he's on, which cracks me up, right? The spoof of Wheel of Fortune. Okay, can you see the letters?
LUCROR.
Oh, okay. That's probably money. LUC?
Yeah. I think.
Okay, Lucror Magnus.
Yeah.
It's Latin for win big.
Win big, dude. I'm glad the Latins came up with all these freaking words. Bro, I don't know. I'm astonished by the capability of ancient societies, and every day I think that we're living in an ancient society. I don't know. Like,
well, eventually we will be.
I know. Yeah, I guess. But it's just like, bro, these guys just like looked at a river and they were like, yo, what if we like put other people near the river and we just like used it to move food? Like that is a crackpot idea. Like imagine inventing farming. Like your dad invents farming and you're like, yeah, Dad, I think that's really cool, but I'm gonna get on this floating piece of wood and take your food down the river, and then you have Mesopotamia. Like, how does that happen?
I got this cool book. What's fascinating to me in this book of the timelines of everything, it talks about like the ancient world, and so it's bizarre knowing that like this prehistory, like the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So like the farming stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's like
to know that like
same.
Yeah, so like cows and pigs are domesticated 8,500 BC. That's like a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
But if you think of like humans back in like 11,000 BC, so that means that there was, like 4,000 years where we're humans and we're like, what are those things over there? Just stay away from them.
Just freaking don't go near them.
Yeah. Or hunt them down, but don't get near them, Fear them.
Yeah.
And then eventually somebody said like, no, let's just keep them around us. So there was like one person who like came up with the idea. It's like, I'm going to keep this small pig with me.
Why?
And when I get hungry, I'll eat it. And people are like, you changed everything.
I think the worst part about that is that like dogs and humans had already been partnered up by that point.
Yeah.
So like from the dog's perspective, like what is that? What is
The
that
dog's like,
supposed to
"Are
mean?
you gonna eat me too?" And like, no, because you can fetch things. You can.
Yeah, I have this theory that dogs are one of the reasons that humans evolved the way we did. And well, okay, so it's also backed up a little bit, but like dogs um dog's stomach digestive system is the same, it's more similar to our digestive system than it is to wolves.
Mm. Oh, that's
Um
interesting. I didn't know that.
and our noses, like the inside of our nasal cavities, used to be like similar to dogs, and then as we evolved to farm, we lost that ability, and dogs kept that ability. And
Oh,
I don't know, dude. I feel like dogs really freaking elevated our existence. Like it was like, the dog's domesticated.
yeah,
Now everything else, I don't know.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Mabel's pig doesn't seem like he's getting very smart.
No, he doesn't. It
She,
seems like, and pigs are supposed to be smart, but I
yeah,
don't
she,
think.
she delegates a lot of a lot of the assignments to Waddles the pig, and he's just eating the money and chewing on the
Yeah,
phone.
I think that they follow him blindly. I think that's something to take away from him. I don't know what to think about that, but Waddles.
Yeah,
I mean, there's already been so much chaos caused by Waddles. Do you
and
remember the freaking time travel
he's
episode?
yeah.
They like
I don't know.
ruined the man's entire
Waddles wasn't
career.
responsible for the chaos, though.
Was he?
He was the inspiration for the chaos.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's
Unless
not the
it's turned,
cause.
going back to your theory that the animals are intelligent in this, and the beavers and
Yeah,
possum and stuff like that, is Waddles like a mastermind actually?
I think so. It could be. It could be definitely like um he was trying to get her to lose because he knew she wasn't gonna do well.
Maybe.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
All right, that's probably enough. Should we call?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. You have been watching.
Watching Gravity Falls for the first time, I panicked. There was panic
You
in
want
my
to try
eyes.
that again, or is that
Yeah,
good?
let's. No, it's good. It's good.
It's
I think
fine.
we gotta be real on this show.
That's right. No editing.